Ja Morant, been a big story. Down in Florida, getting some counseling, rehab, perhaps, whatever. He's just, doing what he's got to do to get himself back into the right mental frame of mind. And he has been suspended by the NBA for 8 games. Here's the thing, though, Rob. It's retroactive. He's already been out 6 games. And so he's eligible to come back in 2 games. I don't think he'll be back that soon necessarily. But that's when he's eligible. He spoke with Jalen Rose of ESPN, sat down with him. And here's a snippet of what he said tonight.
You're at the spot, Shotgun Willie's. I've been there. You are holding a gun. And we both know how dangerous that can be. Whose gun were you holding?
Well, the gun wasn't mine. It's not who I am. I don't condone any type of violence, but I take full responsibility for my actions. Made a bad mistake, and I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm gonna show everybody who John really is, what I'm about, and change this narrative.
Rob, I think, look, I'm pulling for Ja. I think we all want to see this young man, get himself back on the right track and fulfill his great basketball potential. I'm glad that the gun wasn't his. There have been reports that it was, maybe belonged to a security guard or somebody like that, and wasn't his. Because remember, if he had brought it on the plane, Rob, if it was his and he was traveling with the Grizzlies with a gun, he would have been suspended. Much longer than 8 games. It would have been viewed a lot more seriously by the league and the team. So that's good to hear. I think he's going to have to own up to a few things. Not so much. This, it wasn't his gun. He owned up to that. But there are other reports out there. And if they're true, to say I don't condone violence, but the reports out there that he beat up a 17-year-old, him and a friend. So I think he's just got to own some of the stuff he's done. If indeed these reports are true, like, look, I kind of got away from who I am and got caught up a little bit. That's why I had to take this break to just get my mind straight, get settled again. And like you said yesterday, America loves to give second chances. So I think he can clearly bounce back from this. But I think, that clear, you could listen to him and see, he was trying to say the right thing, and I get that. But I think, if he's hit with some hard questions, then about, this reported incident with the 17-year-old and beating him up at his house and things like that, he needs to own it. And I think, and be honest about it and admit he wants to move on. He's made some mistakes. And I think he'll be able to do that, Rob.
Yeah, it's all about, moving forward. And once you've been in a situation or a circumstance where your behavior or your actions aren't proper or right, people look to see, well, have you learned your lessons? Right. Have you made some changes in your life? And people are forgiving. People make mistakes. I say it all the time. People make mistakes. It's responsibility, accountability, Chris, ownership. Once you do that, people can start the healing process, right? Of you working your way back where people are going to give you another chance. I think we said this before with Kyrie. It's not that Kyrie did what he did and it's the end of the world. It's that when he had a chance to take ownership and accountability for it, Chris, that's when he failed. That's why he had the issues. It wasn't because, oh my God, Kyrie was the first person to make a mistake on something or do something. You know what I mean? It's been done for 1,000,000 times by 1,000,000 people. But he refused to do the other thing. And I think that's what Ja has in his favor so far, is that he has accepted responsibility. And now he has to fly right and straight and get people to trust in him again, that he won't do that. Like that, I guess if I was Jalen Rose, I don't know. I didn't hear the whole interview.
They haven't played the whole
Oh,
thing.
they just
It'll
gave. That
be
was a
later
little clip
tonight.
that they gave. That's it.
It might have been a little more, but that was essential. That was the meat of what they showed. I think they're gonna play the rest tonight.
Cause my thing would have been what, Chris. Not just whose gun was that. What were you thinking? What
Right.
like
And I hope he asked him some of that.
right,
stuff.
Chris? Like when you put that on IG, what did you think was going to be the reaction? That's what I really want to know. Were you getting street cred? Were people going to be
Right.
like, "Yo,
Right.
that dude is hard. He a real G"? Or what were you going to get from that? I really would want to know. Because that's the part that Chris, if say he had a gun in the place and maybe somebody saw it, but it wasn't on IG, that's different from showing a gun. Like it really is.
Right. Right.
You could have handled a gun. Somebody passed you a gun in the club, right? You could have. But when you put it out there for millions and millions of people to see, I just question where your head is.
Yeah, because there's nothing, like you said, Rob, was he trying to portray a certain image? I mean, that's what it seems.
That's the only thing it could be.
So why were you trying to portray that image? And Rob, I talked to some people, who are from tougher, let's put it, tougher backgrounds. We'll put it that way than Ja. And I'm not saying he wasn't from, he didn't have his challenges, but he did at least have 2-parent household. Seems like he was probably, middle class for the most part. And they've said that an act like that, and I'm not saying it has to be that way going forward because he has taken responsibility for it,
right,
and is saying that's not me. But Rob, an act like that, people have told me like that's actually gonna make dudes challenge you.
Right.
Like if he walks into a club in the hood or whatever, without doing this type of stuff, people gonna they might leave you alone. Ja Morant, he's a superstar. Obviously, he'll have his bodyguards with him. But the feeling people were saying to me, when you start flexing like that, it's like now you're portraying that you kind of gangster. This is what some people have said, especially in Memphis, Rob.
Well, you're introducing people.
Right.
You're letting people know, I'm packing. Oh, okay.
Right. I'm about that.
Right. Okay.
So if you test me, you're gonna find and that's what some people out there will test you.
They will.
If that's what you're portraying yourself as.
You talked before, Chris, what used to be a code amongst, people in the hood or maybe like, right, there used to be a code. If you made it to professional sports, you, for the most part, you weren't being bothered. You know what I mean? Like they looked at you and said,
pulling for you.
They're pulling for you. They got mad respect, man. He was a good ball player, man. He made it to the league, whatever.
We want him to represent the neighborhood.
Exactly. Whatever.
Right.
That ain't the case anymore, man. More athletes get robbed. You know what I mean? Wearing flashy jewelry.
Well, and you just said it. I think
it's different.
If you go back to the neighborhood flexing,
right? That's what I'm saying.
Showing off all the jewelry and everything you got, then yeah, I mean, you just tempting people. They don't have what you have. They can't afford what you have. Yeah, go back. As your old self, regular dude, and I'm sure you can go back. But yeah, you're right, Rob. And so, I here's the question I have for you though, and I'm wondering myself. Do you think, like, the Grizzlies are the second seed, Rob, in the West and have been for most of the season? And the West is wide open. We see Denver's having its struggles. We see Golden State struggles on the road. The Clippers, they've
won 3 in a row, right? But they've just won 3 in a row.
But, they haven't been great all season. They still got to figure out the proper use of Westbrook. He hadn't been finishing games lately, which I like, but they're figuring that out still. The Lakers, they got questions. Everybody's got questions, is my point, Rob. Everybody in the West has questions. All the best teams, they're question marks. And so this is a season where it's there for, I'm not saying they're the best team, all things being equal, but it's there for the taking with Memphis. It's there for them. It's there for Phoenix. It's there for all these teams. Do you think they can bounce back from this type of thing to play their best basketball in the playoffs?
Yes, they can. Because they have a dynamic player who has something to prove. And I know Chris, like, he's going through the stuff off the court, but his haven or sanctuary is on the court.
Right.
So that should be enough for him to say, let me get back to who I am. I'm a basketball player, right? I'm not a gun-toting thug or whatever it was portrayed. I'm a basketball player.
Right.
He ain't injured. He ain't hurt. There's no reason why he can't get back on that court and for 2 or 3 hours, Chris, get back to playing basketball and being that guy. I don't think their season is over.
Rob, remember, I covered, you may have covered some of the games too. I was with the Lakers throughout the playoff run when Kobe Bryant was going through his trial in Colorado.
And for people who don't remember, he was flying back and forth, Chris, on the team plane during that. I mean, it was a
during
spectacle.
The series, Rob. Sometimes on the day of games, if I remember correctly, it was incredible. And he played tremendously. Now, they didn't win that. Remember, they lost to the Pistons in the finals.
Right.
But Kobe played some great basketball throughout those playoffs in the midst of this, what I'm sure was the greatest challenge of his life.
Chris, that had to be, you don't know what's going on there. You could be going to jail.
Right. Absolutely. And so, and like you said, he said the court was his sanctuary, which you've heard from many athletes. So I agree. And this could be good. I hate to, thankfully nobody got injured, but this could be a learning experience. Let's put it that way for the Grizzlies, because Rob, even before all the stuff with Ja, I was looking at the Grizzlies, like, to me, they looked like a bunch of young guys who were believing their press clip. Like, they were believing, oh, we're all that. We had a great year last year. We had a rivalry with the defending champs. Like they were just overly cocky. And I thought it was going to come back to bite them. And I'm talking about Dylan Brooks and Ja and all these guys. And maybe, Rob, this is the type of thing that gets them, all of them, kind of focused on, let's get together, put aside the nonsense, and go out there and do what we do best, which is play basketball. So I don't think they'll win the West. I may have picked them had this not happened. I think they can bounce back and play well. But I do think it could have some negative ramifications and be a reason maybe that they don't win the West this year, but we'll see. All right, be sure to join Fox Sports Radio's $1 Million Bracket Challenge. That's right, I said it, $1 million. If you fill out the perfect bracket at foxsportsradio.com, that's what you'll get, $1 million. And you can compete against Fox Sports Radio hosts such as the esteemed Rob Parker and other fellow listeners. The listener who finishes in first place, whether you get it perfect or not, first place wins you a prize pack featuring a Legacy Box 40 item trunk. That's valued at nearly $1,200. That'll turn your old family movies and pictures into digital keepsakes. Is great. A Traeger meter block that's valued at $350. Rob, the way that works, the ultimate way to monitor meat on your grill. Sounds fantastic. And a chalk bundle that's valued at nearly $500 that features 9 popular supplements found at CHOQ.com, chalk.com, and it'll help you reclaim your vitality. All in all, it's a prize pack valued at more than $2,000. So go fill out your brackets now at foxsportsradio.com. You got until noon Eastern on Thursday. Noon Eastern on Thursday. And that's foxsportsradio.com to fill out your bracket, get the official rules, and take a stab at getting $1 million.